That window has this view where they could clearly, those ESU officers that were stationed, given access by the property owner to that window, could see the shooter had they stayed in that man position.
After the Pennsylvania State Police Commissioner testified that 2 snipers left their posts from the second story of the AGR building to go look for crooks on the ground level, there was this response that I'd like to go through here. Wednesday, Butler County DA Richard Goldinger disputed the testimony, saying that only one of the ESU officers left the building briefly to search for crooks. Both ESU officers moved within the building, attempting to keep eyes on crooks, Goldinger said in a statement. One of the officers observed Crooks sitting on a picnic table at the front of the building from his location on the second floor of the building. Crooks then ran off, carrying a backpack. And apparently this is 6:05, going by other documents that I'll go into later. At this point, that officer ran out of the building, that's Greg we're talking about, attempting to keep eyes on Crooks until other law enforcement arrived. The other officer remained in the building on the second floor, Goldinger said. The officer who ran out of the building could not locate Crooks, and he returned to the building. Both officers then heard shots fired. Goldinger added that neither officer could see Crooks on the other building due to the visual angle they had from their location to Crooks' location. Which is bullshit. Just bullshit. Okay. So here's another article about that very sniper, Greg Nickel. Nickel moved through the building trying to shadow Crooks, who was outside, and keep eyes on him. But Nickel lost sight of Crooks as Nickel made his way down to the building's first level. By that time, Trump had taken the stage, Nickel said. Then, as the former president began speaking, Nickel noticed rallygoers looking away from the podium up towards the roof of the AGR building. Some were shouting that there was someone up there. And you would have seen that footage. This is 2 minutes before the shooting happened.
Yeah, look, there he is.
Because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people. Criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here.
Right on the roof.
It's much tougher than it happens.
You went right on the roof again.
Nickel said he was almost relieved, thinking to himself, oh, they must have found this guy we were looking for out there, and everybody's watching the police deal with him. So they're looking up at the roof that his window was overlooking, and he's left his window to go on the ground. He would soon discover that wasn't the case. All right, now here's an interview with, I think, his team leader.
In regards to their positions, they were actually looking into the crowd. That's their pre-designed sectors. They were specifically identified was the entry control point.
I think this is true. They weren't assigned to look at the roof. They were assigned to look out at the crowd. But if you hear people out the window saying, hey, there's someone on the roof, you can just have a look and boom, there he is. You've got a couple of minutes before he shoots Trump.
The area right before the magnetometers and then the area in front of the stage. And those were the areas that our guys observed. At the time of the shooting, there was a Butler County sniper and a Beaver County sniper that were located there.
So he's saying there were 2 snipers looking out those windows that could clearly see the shooter if they looked out the window. And the windows were open. They would have heard the people shouting very closely to the building.
Somehow that we should have had line of sight on not only the crowd, but the area to the side of the building where the where the shooter was eventually located.
Where people about in this position were shouting out. The idea that we should look over there.
It's kind of ridiculous when you think about trying to do both things. The snipers are concentrated on a very defined mission and looking for very defined threats. And those don't come from them. The ability to redeploy to another...
No one's asking you to redeploy. Just have a look and see, hey, is there a gunman on the roof?
Area
Maybe we can do something about that as snipers.
Is also...
Because look, they were... In these windows, the shooter was there. You got people off to the left saying, hey, there's a guy on the roof. This was 2 minutes beforehand.
Kind of this...
And there's that new footage of him running along those roofs 3 minutes beforehand. They missed that too.
Ridiculous notion that's out there that somehow our guys, despite guidance from Secret Service, could somehow, because they thought that this was not the right place to be.
It was the perfect place to be.
Relocate to a better
No one's talking about
vantage point.
relocating. Well, some people make the point, yeah, maybe you should have actually been on the roof. That's not a bad idea. But fair enough, they were assigned in that window. Just look out the window when people say there's someone on the roof in front of you, perhaps.
Is almost
I mean, how
laughable
ridiculous is
in
this
some
story?
regards, because, you know, think about it. If our guys were to move from their
No one's asking you
position
to, like,
onto the roof line,
Am I going
what
crazy?
that might cause in response from Secret Service counter snipers.
he's saying they couldn't have moved onto the roof because the Secret Service might have shot them, which makes sense. But those snipers didn't actually shoot Crooks until 16 seconds after he began firing, even though they were already looking in that direction.
Who did not have direct communication with us. It was only through intermediaries that they had communication.
Thank you for watching. Go to
Anyway, I just wanted to quickly put that out. I haven't had time to really dig into all that, but I will get there. I'll tell you what I'm busy on. I'm trying to work out a timeline, basically from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Okay, I've collected all of these clips. These are all different camera angles from the day. And every single one of them I've worked out to the second when they took place. I already did sort of an example like this on my previous documentary, but I've found heaps more, and we're covering 2 hours now. From beforehand, from when Crooks was walking around that building, and then we're adding all these body cams. So stay tuned.
I was wondering why those windows were open.
Oh my God, they are. They're open.
I noticed that earlier. I think